Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody, and welcome back to Rush Racing League NAEU for round number 9 here of this fantastic championship. And we're going to go ahead and get things ready to go here. We're heading to the backyard of Honda, their personal test track turned Formula One track here in Suzuka. It is the only only Figure 8 track on the calendar, and it's been around for quite some time. It's seen a few different iterations over its years, although granted, this current layout has only been around since about 2003. So once again, it is a sprint weekend this time out as we get ready to take things to the track. So we have 9 laps in the sprint, 27 in the feature. This track is narrow, the rain is coming down, and drivers are going to have a tricky time of things as we jump straight into the sprint. And with me, as always, it is the one and only, the Game Hawk. How you doing today, mate?
Thank you, thank you. I am very, very excited for this. As always, another week of Formula One action with you, and yeah, I mean, this is going to be, you can see this is already going to be interesting. The rain's coming down here in Japan for this sprint race to start out. 9 laps, and it's going to be, as they say, a full-on sprint all the way through, and I think the rain's just going to make it even more chaotic than it already would be.
I think my usage of puns is kind of rubbing off on you here, Game Hawk.
Maybe.
You've gotten bit by the Ruckus bug in terms of puns. But yeah, let's see who's gonna have a great time here on this Figure 8. It is a very narrow track. Passing opportunities are few and far here between, unless you have a heart of steel, because I mean it's pretty narrow through most of the track. Dirty air is also going to be a huge factor, especially in the slick, slippery, wet conditions here. So drivers are going to have to be on their toes at every single point. They have to have samurai-like focus and try not to sumo wrestle too many cars off the track here in Suzuka, especially through the Casio Triangle, which is the final chicane here on the circuit. But anyways, drivers are finishing up their setups because there is no qualifying here in NAEU. For the sprint, we just jump straight into things. We just jump straight into the sprint. It is reverse championship standings for the grid in the sprint, which is going to make things pretty interesting once we actually go live here. So before we get going here, Game Hawk, as this is taking quite a while, do you think we're gonna have a drive feature race?
Uh, I'm honestly not quite sure. I mean, I guess just kind of like Brazil, it's just kind of up in the air where you're not really entirely sure what the conditions are going to be. I kind of predict that it's going to start dry and then maybe get rain as we go.
We'll just have to see. We'll figure it out in 5 lights time. And it's lights out, and away we go here in Japan for the sprint race here at Suzuka. And things are already getting dicey. John's ready for shaking for moves, and there's already a lot of contact, a lot of collisions here going into turn 1. Cars getting ping-ponged around, and it is chaos into the first turn. With it being short qualifying here in the sprints, as just how the format is here in NA, I mean, it is pretty much just pedal to the metal. Pretty much right off the rip. And we have Ryan Anderson in the wall, and he is out of the race. He retires on track as the Wildcat is going to go ahead and go on through. And there's already drivers getting penalties left, right, and center here. We have, actually, it's Splitsy, who was a top-tier rookie from last time out. He has gotten 20 seconds of pens already in the opening lap here.
Yeah, that's definitely not the start that you want there. I mean, going back to that turn 1 where everyone was ping-ponging, I think everyone had the collective scary moment where they realized that, wait a minute, the track's wet. Where I think they all just kind of missed their breaking point, because I mean, I think like almost half of the entire field went off of turn 1 and went straight through. So I think just already the rain having somewhat of an effect, as I mean, just everyone just looking like they're just trying to grab any sort of grip. And with Splitsy, I did see that the first penalty came from contact with Wildcat, I believe it was, and it was a 10-second penalty for gaining a place out of it, and then the other 10 seconds was ignoring a yellow flag, so already not a great start for him.
Yeah, that's always a rough one. I mean, especially just because it's not always like awesome to get penalties here, and I'm sure these drivers know good and well that the least amount of penalties you can get, the better. As we were seeing a bit of bumping and barging here with Harold and Autumn Ape down here, P6 and P5 and P6. These guys are trying to go ahead and get on through, but there's not a lot of overtaking opportunities here on this track. And like it was mentioned in chat by Panda, that turns 4 through 7 are notoriously bad for dirty air. And another thing too is that we have seen two drivers just kind of break away from the field, and actually realistically, the top three all have a pretty solid gap in between them. You got Zexify, I might be mispronounced that, but Zexify from SGC is pretty much 3 seconds away, almost 4 seconds away from Joshua Bear, who himself is about 2.2 seconds away from Illyrian in the lead. So Trevor is actually right up on the gearbox of Harold, of Zexify, but DRS isn't a thing right now. And even if DRS is a thing, then it's only just on one single part of the track. So once again, trying to get these overtaking opportunities here are going to be very tricky. And you kind of got to grab him by the horns. But what also doesn't help Trevor's case is that he's missing a front end plate on that Mercedes.
Yeah, and I believe that originally came from the whole turn 1 shenanigans, because he was one of the cars that went probably the furthest off. And I think that's where the contact came from, and that why he's missing the end plate. I will say I'm kind of surprised that, like, we're talking about how hard it is to overtake on Japan, but I will say that I am kind of surprised that despite the gap for the leader from the rest of the grid, a lot of the other drivers are very, very close and still fighting for positions. I mean, you can see Joshua Bear is almost 6 seconds now behind Illyrian, but Zexify has closed the gap, and he's almost within what we say DRS range. So you can see just a lot of these drivers are actually a lot closer and have been battling probably a little bit more than what you would expect usually.
Indeed, yeah. I mean, you take all those elements and then you throw on just how slick the track is, and it gets pretty difficult to get some overtakes here. And I mean, it's interesting that Illyrian's already built up a 6-second gap in terms of and this is just a sprint, mind you, and a lot of the championship, actually I think all of our main championship protagonists are not here, with the exception of Marakidon. And even then, Marakidon has been on the record saying he hasn't been a big fan of the sprint format here in NAE. So he's gonna have to try to make the most of it. Although granted, you don't lose as many points to your rivals in the sprint race as you do in the feature race. So he's gonna try. He's up into 5th place at the moment, and he has moved up 5 positions. And Zexify is the driver who's actually moved up the most positions. He's moved up 9. And it's weird that he started that far back, because if my understanding is correct, it's supposed to be championship standings here. So that's interesting, unless that's actually Tai just under a different name, because we have seen name changes here as Marakidon is now trying to get past Trevor. He's got some speed in that Ferrari. Oh, and there's big contact going to the Degnas.
That was an incredible save. I don't know how in the world Marakidon kept the Ferrari on the track, and they're still side by side and banging, going into 130R. And now Autumn is going to get into the fight. So now you have the Mercedes, the Ferrari, and the Haas all within just inches of each other, it feels like, going through the turns. I really don't know how he kept it on the track.
Yeah, I don't know either. That's a pretty good save there, but he is up in the 4th now. So there's another caution. It's a McLaren spinning around. It is Barry. Looks like it's Barry and Harold getting into it coming out of Spoon. So luckily for them, that wasn't a safety car, but that very well could have been. Oh, and Ryan Anderson saying his wheel came off. So that's
Whoa.
I think he means his steering wheel actually came off of a sim rig, which is ooh, that's an unfortunate one.
Yeah, I think losing the wheel either in game or losing your sim wheel can really just end your race. I think either way.
Yeah, that's rough. Yeah, that's pretty suboptimal. You ideally would definitely not. That definitely is not something you'd like to deal with, but in the end, it happens. So I've seen a whole championship happen, or actually it was season 7. I think I actually seen a championship decided because somebody's either wheel or pedal disconnected. It was a season finale in Baku where this happened in OC. It was a very unfortunate story, but Zexify has caught up to Joshua here, so battle for P2 is on, but Illyrian is he's checked out.
Yeah, I think Illyrian was the main beneficiary of that turn 1. That I think he was just able to get a good enough line where he didn't really I don't think he suffered any contact or anything, and just because of everything and just getting that little bit of space, I think that's just kind of what propelled him, because he's looked really good. He's had a couple of sketchy moments. He went through 130R one time and he almost spun. So I mean, the wet conditions still playing a factor, as Rossi, he gets the 10-second penalty and he's going to retire in the pits. But yeah, just still a great job by Illyrian in the sprint race. I mean, getting this big of a gap here in 6 laps, getting a 7-second gain is just really, really good.
It's not super common either. So, I mean, it's a rare display of dominance that we don't normally see in NA, at least not to this extent. I mean, it has been the championship has pretty much primarily been between TyTime, Meraki, and Umbreon, but I mean, the sprint races have really kind of been Meraki's kryptonite. He's been able to make up a lot of positions in the sprints, but he's never really been able to fully, I mean, it's definitely not the race type that he prefers, but even then, he's already challenging for a sprint podium, which is really going to soften the blow to Illyrian. Although Illyrian, I don't think Illyrian is actually a solid contender in the championship at this point, just because he hasn't been around for most of the races. But Joshua Bayer does get a 3-second time penalty for track limits, and the other Ferrari of Wildcat has a spin through the hairpin.
So now, well, I guess now you can say that the sprint races definitely got interesting, because you were just talking about Meraki Dawn. He's already gained all the way to the back of the McLaren of Zexify, and now it looks like he may go for the move. Yes, he's going to go for the move on the outside, side by side, and somehow he tried to make it stick, but Zexify will retain the place. But yeah, with that 3-second penalty for Joshua Bayer, right now, if Zexify and Meraki Dawn stay right where they are, Zexify will get a P2 and Meraki Dawn will get a P3.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be really, really intense. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. I mean, then again, actually, as I'm now taking a more detailed look at the driver's standings, as we see Meraki Dawn kind of biding his time. He's about to come up to a pretty decent spot to try to get overtake done. You can make it dive into Spoon or on the run to 130R. Either way, there's 2 good spots to really make some moves potentially happen here. So he's going to go ahead and try. He's also missing an end play too for Meraki Dawn, but so is Zexify actually. So they're both missing end plates on opposite sides, funny enough. Meraki's missing the right end plate, and then you have Zexify missing the left end plate. So, both cars at a similar yet dissimilar disadvantage here. But as I was saying earlier, taking a look at the championship here, I mean, Meraki Don, he's got a pretty serious points gap. He's got 166 points, and the next nearest opponent is Tai with 112. And with neither one of the drivers being here today, I mean, that gap is only going to extend.
Yeah, and I mean, that's really going to help because, I mean, not only is Meraki Don consistent on track, he is consistent just by showing up, that he's just been here. I think there's only been, correct me if I'm wrong, I think there's only one race, maybe one or two this season that he has not been here for. And other than that, he's been at almost every single race. He hasn't won every single race, but he has gotten very good results at every single race. So just consistency both on the track and just off the track showing up has really been the reason why he's leading in the points right now.
Indeed, yeah. I mean, consistency is what wins championships. As we are on the penultimate lap of the sprint race now here in Suzuka. We are going to wrap things up here in Japan, but there's still a good amount of racing left to go. We're not done for the night just yet because we got another lap and a half of the sprint race here, and then we have 27 laps in the feature race coming up. So I think the big battle to watch here is we're going to see if Meraki Don can get that sprint podium here as he's going to try to close into the back of the McLaren. The track is, it's actually stopped raining, so I think it's a bit too late for DRS to activate if it hasn't already. Yeah, so DRS won't activate for the rest of the sprint race here, but this could mean that it might be dry for the feature race here. So I mean, it could be like you described earlier, where it is a dry race to start off and then rains later on. But another thing to note is that, just taking a look at things here, Joshua Bayer does have a penalty that if Zagzibay is still within 3 seconds, then he can lose that P2. And even closer, he might even lose on the podium as Meraki Don does a spin, coming through the end of the S's, and that is his podium chance done and dusted.
Oh, it looks like he tried to do, he almost had another moment where he saved it, but it was just not enough, and he spun into there. I mean, he's lucky that he didn't spin more, because I mean, you have that gap, but you know that like any sort of spin can really let your opponents get in. So I mean, he's just lucky he didn't spin further. But yeah, that is the podium chance gone. But I mean, there's only half a lap left for Zexify to try and close the gap, but I don't think he's going to be able to.
Indeed, yeah. I think he's kind of out of time now, but making his way through the Casio Triangle for the last time here in the sprint race. He's going to go ahead and put the foot to the floor, the pedal to the metal, and Illyrian will win the Japanese sprint race here and take fastest lap to boot. And that is pure domination there from the Haas driver. Joshua Bayer, though, does snag that fastest lap at the last moment there, as Zexify will come across the line. He was just a second shy of swapping those positions, but ultimately that is our sprint race done and dusted, as Splitsy will tumble down the order due to his penalty. And now with the last few drivers to come across the line, it is going to be Harold, John, Wildcat, and Barry. I didn't even see Rossi actually DNF either, but we did lose an Aston Martin. And trying to make a move here right at the end of the race. Barry trying to get a move done onto Wildcat, but that is not going to materialize here, as it is the final run to the line. And there we go. So now we're going to go ahead and get ready for our feature race. But first, we're going to go ahead and tell you about the sprint results here tonight. And Illyrian does take the sprint win, followed by Joshua Bayer, Zexify, Meraki Don, Autumn Ape, Trevor, Low Pro, Harold, Splitsy, John DT, the Wildcat, Barry, and then our retirements of Rossi and Anderson, rounding out our grid here this evening for the sprint race. So now that kind of leads to the question of how is our feature race going to shape up?
Yeah, so now I feel like I don't really think the drivers were expecting it to be a rainy sprint race, but that kind of does make it a little bit more interesting for the feature race, just because if it starts raining, we'll probably see something else similar to what we saw in this. But if it's a dry start, then I feel like we may see a little bit of difference just because of some drivers being better in wet conditions versus dry conditions. So I'm very, very interested to see how this sprint race will shape up.
Sprint race already finished.
Or sorry,
up.
feature
The
race.
is
Sorry.
it happens. But yeah, I 100% agree. It's going to be interesting. Some drivers are wet weather merchants, and look at that
Ooh.
sun. I think we might have a fully dry feature race after all, so that could change up the dynamic. As for the feature race, I think it is actually. I don't think we ever got the answer to that one previously. We just kind of saw the grid, and that's just where we went. But there's no qualifying for either the sprint or the feature race, so I think it does go to reverse grid in that case. So it'll be interesting to see who can make places and who is going to be stuck. And it's really interesting with that kind of format at this track because, I mean, we saw some a good amount of overtake attempts, but we never saw any major overtakes throughout the sprint. The feature will have a bit more options. There'll be ways you can kind of counter strat essentially. God, it sounds like I'm talking about like League of Legends Overwatch when I'm talking about counter picks, counter strats, and all that. But I mean, aren't you a Overwatch varsity player or was it Rocket League? I forget.
Actually, it's both. I play both Rocket League and Overwatch for my college. And funny enough, that is pretty much the same language that we always talking about counter picks and banning characters. But yeah, I'm kind of with you. I'm very interested to see because we did see a lot of overtake attempts, but I think it's going to be different because they were doing those attempts on a wet track. But now I want to see if they're going to attempt the same maneuvers now on a dry track and see if the drivers are going to be as aggressive.
We'll see. We will see. And actually, I believe League Worlds, I think, is either still going on or just wrapped up. I'm friends with a Canadian esports organization. I do some work with them here and there. I know they have a League of Legends team, and we actually did some watch parties for League of Legends Worlds, although I didn't understand a singular thing about it because I played that game like twice in my entire lifespan, and I was like, this is just respectfully not my cup of tea. I never actually did any varsity esports, but from varsity esports to Rush Racing League esports, we're going to get ready for the feature race. And it is lights out and away we go here for 27 laps around the Suzuka circuit for the feature race. And we're going to see, are we going to see turn one chaos again? We have a few drivers going wide and an end plate getting sent to the Shadow Realm. And there is drama here at the race start. Not as much as previous, but there's still a good amount of contact going into turn one. A few end plates have been sent to the Shadow Realm here, as there might be more drama here in the back as there's drivers fighting, and somebody joined at the most unfortunate time, and we have a retirement. Joshua Bear is out, and that is a safety car on lap one.
Yeah, that was rough. He came out of the S's, tried to hit the gas, and I think he either got forced wide or he just didn't have the grip and hit the barrier hard. And yeah, Joshua Bear is out of the race. That is very rough. But same sort of chaos going into turn one, but I wasn't necessarily expecting the safety car. I thought we were going to get a little bit of chaos, and I agree there were a lot of different end plates that got thrown into the Shadow Realm on the outside of turn one. But yeah, what a start for this feature race.
I don't think Tom Brady could have thrown some of those end plates as far as those things got sent across the track. But yeah, we are under safety car conditions here. on lap 1 out of 27 is going to give some drivers some good time to kind of think about strategies. We'll see what tires everybody's on, because I think that could really play to some strategy. And there's contact going into the pits. Splitsy and Autumn. Harold is out, and Autumn will get a 10-second time penalty for a collision with Splitsy. That was in the pit lane. And that is both Red Bulls out here in the opening laps here of this race. And it's interesting just seeing the tires, because there's 4 cars in the pits. Some of them have opted for the soft tire. Some have opted for the hards, and then everybody else in the mediums. And Rossi is just overtaking. I don't know if that was allowed. I guess it is. I think he did get it just in time, maybe? No, he's letting all those cars. He's letting all those cars back in. Okay, so yeah, this is just kind of the thing about the Japanese Grand Prix, because if everybody's cautious and everybody tries to not send any place to Shadow, it can be a bit of a snooze fest, this track, for some. But when you have drivers absolutely licking the stamp and sending it like some people send that risky text to their crush, and you get carnage and we get action.
Yeah, I will say, I think that is now one of my favorite. I think that might be my favorite thing that you've said all season as a comparison. I think that might be my favorite one. But yeah,
We've all been there.
Yeah, we've all been. I think we've all been there. But I do agree that that this track could be very, like, if everyone is cautious, Japan is kind of that track where it can give and take away, where if all the drivers want to be safe, then the track will give them a safe race. But if they want to be aggressive, then the track is going to give us a very adrenaline aggressive show, basically. And I think this lap 1 kind of shows that I think the drivers want it. I think the drivers want to be as aggressive as possible. Because, I mean, just, again, turn 1, it didn't matter if it was wet or dry. We saw 3 wide, and I think even at one point 4 wide going into turn 1. So I just think everyone is taking your advice, and I think they're just going for the overtakes and just getting whatever they can.
Yeah, I mean, because you really gotta go for it on this track, because I mean, it's a narrow track. There's not a lot of like good overtaking spots compared to some of the tracks we've been to earlier on in the season, like last week in Brazil. I mean, you could overtake on like 99% of that circuit. This track is completely the opposite in that regard, because Interlagos, as we know, is very wide. So you can go 3 wide, and there's quite a few corners you can go 3 wide, and you can go 2 wide through most corners. But here at Suzuka, it's a narrow track. So it's either you can go 2 wide, but you breathe one bit to the right or the left, and you're pretty much riding the grass. The S's are horrible to follow a car through because of the dirty air, especially through turns 4 through 7. And then you have the Degnas, which are very quick, and realistically not a lot of room there either. You don't really get a good enough run to make a dive into the hairpin. So really, you have 3 main overtaking spots. You can try to get a move done in Spoon, going into 130R on that straight, in between Spoon and 130R, and then the start-finish straight going into turn 1. So if you want to get a move, you just gotta go for it.
Yeah, you just gotta go for it. You just gotta see the space and just go for it. But that does make me curious, because I mean, we did see in the sprint there were multiple times that there were even drivers that were trying to pass in the S's. So I would be very curious to see, as now safety car will be in this lap and Illyrian will take control of the field. I'm very curious to see if we're going to see them only go for those overtaking spots, or if the drivers are going to basically just make their own. I would be very curious to see.
They are racing drivers, so I'm sure we're going to see some crazy innovations here, but we're going to get ready to go. We go on Illyrian, and Illyrian has decided, Casio Triangle done, I'm going. And we are back racing here on lap 4 out of 27 here in the Japanese Grand Prix. some positions are changing up here a bit, as we're seeing some moves being made throughout the field, as Trevor's now going to go ahead and try to close in, try to stay close to the back, but you're going to lose so much time following through the S's here on Suzuka, as Trevor's going to still try to stay within DRS range. DRS will be available next time around, but even then the DRS isn't super effective, as John has actually made a pit stop himself, so he'll come out well at the back of the field. But a lot of drivers are pretty close here, as Autumn and Splitsy are still duking it out. Splitsy getting a bit into the gravel there, coming out of the second Degna. And battles are aplenty here, but Illyrian he's got the pace on this track. He is close to already pulling away out of DRS range before DRS has even been enabled on the track.
Yeah, I think Illyrian came into this. I don't know necessarily if this is his favorite track, but he is racing like this is his favorite track. He's racing on this like he spent 500 hours on this track doing time trials and just getting really good at it, because he's so far in both the wet and the dry, he's looked like the best driver. And I guess just the question is that will he be able to keep this up? Because and you can see he set the fastest lap, but Trevor behind him stole it immediately. So Illyrian trying to pull away, trying to show that he's the best driver, but you can see that the competition is plentiful, as the other drivers are just not going to let Illyrian just drive away.
Indeed, yeah, they're not gonna really just allow him to run away. But through the S's, I mean, that's really the part where you can really make or break your time here, as Ryan Anderson is gonna go in and try to come to the back of Trevor, try to put that Kick Sauber into a P2 position. Now, when I see the name Ryan Anderson, I think of the monster truck driver who, I mean, he's drove like a dozen different monster trucks, but his dad, I think his name was Dennis Anderson, drove Gravedigger for the longest time, and it's funny seeing that he's in a green car because it's kind of a similar color scheme to Gravedigger. But all the similarities aside, there is a yellow flag. I think that might have been it might be a bug, because I don't see anything that would cause a yellow flag, so it might just be bugged on my end. But we are still racing here, but we are having some action here on this back straight, as drivers are trying to shift for position here. Some battles happening down the run from Spoon into 130R, but now just looking in the back, Illyrian has cleared. But Meraki Dawn is going to go to get a move done on to Ryan Anderson. He's got the DRS, and he's going to chop across the front of that Sauber just in the nick of time in the final year before they become Audi. And he's going from one car that is soon to be German to chasing a currently German car. Meraki Dawn trying to chase down Trevor.
Yeah, that was a great move going into turn one. A little bit risky to chop across the front of Ryan, but he obviously felt confident that he was clear enough, and he was able to get the move done. I think, Trevor's going to go off, and Meraki Dawn will take advantage.
Wow.
Oh, whoa. What a great reaction from Meraki Dawn. Trevor just took the turn way too wide and clipped the gravel, and Meraki Dawn takes advantage and gets into P2. A great move there.
And Meraki Dawn showing his stuff here in this Japanese Grand Prix. He's already caught it the second, and now he's going to try to put some moves on Illyrian or try to get close to him. He is currently up 8 positions from where he started, which is, I mean, that's pretty much what we've noticed from Meraki in these sprint formats is he's not a big fan of them. He has been open with us, and he has told us that he is not a fan of the sprint. I believe it was the first sprint that we figured that one out, which I forget what track that was on, but yeah, now that Meraki is in clear air, and not to mention he's on a soft tire compared to Illyrian's medium, if he doesn't get too caught up with Trevor in this battle, he's got a really good chance of catching up to Illyrian and getting that move done and dusted. We'll have to see though, because we're going to be soon approaching that crossover point where the soft tires start to kind of fall off and the mediums will kind of be that prevalent tire. But we've seen some pretty crazy things here in racing, and I mean, Marakadon would likely like to get this move done before he tries to come into the pits and shed first set of hard tires, because unless he can overly extend these softs to like lap 13, then I just do not see the mediums getting to the end here.
Yeah, and I'm with you there. But I will say, too, that I think what really helped Meraki Dawn here was that safety car. Because that safety car really kind of helped him preserve the soft tires a little bit longer than probably it would have if he had been racing all the way straight through. Because you can see he's now just about half a second. And unless he's seeing something, unless he sees the tire wear that we don't see, so far he has clearly been the fastest driver, and you can see how just how quick he's catching Illyrian, who's on the medium tires. So I am curious to see if Meraki Dawn would attempt an undercut, because I think just with the softs lasting maybe a little bit longer lifespan than maybe what was predicted, I would be curious to see what his plan would be and maybe what the response would be from the others who are on the medium compound.
Yeah, that will be a curious case. I actually don't know how strong an undercut he is here around this circuit. I think it would be actually pretty strong here because, I mean, considering how this field is at the moment, because crucially, you want clear air is what you crucially want. You want clear air going through the S's, and Meraki's already caught up to the back of Illyrian now. He's within DRS range. And you can see he is pushing like his life depends on it. Because I've been watching him for a few laps now, and every time he's gone into the hairpin, he's been locking up that front left tire. So he's been able to do some... He's been quick, but he's been hurting his tires quite a bit. Because when you lock up your brakes, it stops the tire from rotating, and it just kind of leaves flat spots, which ultimately does reduce the amount of grip you have on that set of tires. So he is being aggressive. And I mean, if you're on that soft tire, you obviously would want to kind of utilize the pace, but also try to manage it as well, because sooner rather than later, even though we have had safety car periods, you're going to start losing that grip just because the soft tires are meant to be fast and furious. They're not meant for long stints, but we'll see. And not to mention the effect that dirty air has on them as well, because dirty air will absolutely fry your tires.
Yeah, absolutely. That it will definitely really fry your tires. And I mean, especially through Sector 1, that like we talked about it already earlier, but just Sector 1 of Japan being notorious for dirty air. But I mean, so far, even despite the lockup, Meraki Dawn has really kept his pace. And I mean, the lockup maybe hurt it, and he does it again there going through 130R. As Illyrian also locked up, as they are just both pushing as hard as they can. But I mean, maybe despite wearing out his tires, he's really done a good job of keeping pace, because right now, Illyrian and Meraki Dawn are basically next to each other. Trevor is now 2.6 seconds behind Meraki Dawn, and he has Ryan, Lowpro, and Zexify right behind them. So, I mean, so far, the two leaders here have done a very, very good job of, I mean, despite the tire situation, Meraki Dawn is just right there.
Another driver who is constantly present is Ryan Anderson there, getting the move done up the inside of 130 yards. Normally Tennessee moves on the outside of 130 yards, but on the inside, Trevor's got the DRS, he's got the speed, but look at this, the switchback potentially happening. Oh, it's close. He's so close there. And if he gets things wrong here in the S's, you could be digging a grave for any chances you had of getting a point here. And he's going to try to stick it. We're seeing a battle here in the S's. We're seeing two battles here in the S's. Ryan Anderson against Trevor, and then Lowpro and Zexify all battling it out through the S's. And it looks like Lowpro and Zexify aren't done yet. Ryan Anderson did get a minor gap. Still within DRS range, though. And if these guys keep battling, then it's going to be Barry also invited to the mix. And you can tell that the two McLarens are likely going to work together to try to close in the gap as these drivers are still fighting tooth and nail. We got battles here for P3, battles here for P5, battles here for P1. So everybody in the top 6 is fighting some sort of battle here in this race. And that is exactly what you love to see here in NA. And even P10 to P9 going at it at the moment, as Wildcat has Rossi, who does have penalties, mind you, but he's got Rossi there for company. As Zexify trying to make the move stick into the Casio triangle. Him and Lopro gonna duke it out through the chicane. And these battles are just so intense here in this top 6.
And Lopro is going to go back and do it again. And now Trevor onto the inside. And he's going to defend. So it looks like he learned. And now Ryan Anderson's around the wall. And Ryan Anderson is out of the race. And that is going to be an instant safety car. And that is just heartbreaking for Ryan Anderson.
The Gravedigger has dug his grave here, unfortunately, in Suzuka. He's having such a good battle, too. I mean, it's very heartbreaking that he wasn't able to make more of that. But that is the danger of battling in the S's here in Suzuka. But now, we're talking about pit stops early here, GameLock, and now, I mean, I think everybody here is going to come to the visit. Look at Marakidon kind of taunting Illyrian there. Just from getting really close to the back of the Haas.
Yeah, now with the safety car, I mean, I think this benefits Meraki Dawn more than anything because, I mean, being on the soft tires, there was always going to be a question of when he was going to pit. But now with the even there coming out of Spoon, a little bit of sliding, maybe his tires are getting really worn down. But yeah, this safety car is going to basically gift a free pit stop for Meraki Dawn here to just get a new fresh set of tires on.
You can say it honestly for the entire field. Because, yeah, probably everybody's not going to come to the pits at this stage. Because we're about kind of like 3 laps out. As I think Illyrian just absolutely murdered a pit board there. I believe the FIA would fine him for that, but Rush Racing isn't the FIA, so he'll get away with that scot-free. Now we got Marakidon coming onto the hard tires, Illyrian on the hard tires as well, so no tire advantage here, and like most leagues, I think there's a few that run realistic performance, but here at Rush NAEU, and well, every division here at Rush, it is equal performance here, so it's really just going to come down to whose setup is better and who's just quicker, because these guys are on the exact same tires right now. But Rossi, he pit earlier, I think, and he's up into P3 as Trevor actually tries to... It looked like Trevor tried to make an overtake, and then remembered that it is a safety car period, so you can't really make an overtake.
Yeah, so I mean, actually, Rossi pitting earlier and getting the hard tires benefits him right now in the short term. But you can see that like the hard compound is the overall consensus that everyone who peeled into the pits, Autumn, Splitsy, and John are the only ones who did not pit and take the hard tires, as Wildcat was already pit before and took the soft tires. So the hard compound being the general consensus, and as you said, it puts everyone on the same playing field now, because it's not going to be soft versus medium or anything else. It's now just going to be, like you said, equal performance. How good is your setup? And I think everyone here in NA is going to be very curious to see this battle between Illyrian and Meraki Dawn, just because Meraki Dawn that entire time was pushing and pushing and pushing to catch back up to Illyrian. But now coming out of the safety car, they're going to be side by side as we go back racing, and it'll just be pure speed as to who's going to take the lead.
Indeed, yeah. So as the safety car, I believe, is going to go ahead and go around one more time, I believe. And yeah, it's not going to make the move into the pits this time around. And oh, wow, Rossi got really close to the back there of, oh, actually, Rossi is coming into the pits, so Rossi is going to go ahead and make a pit stop here, so that brings Trevor back up to the podium spots. In this meantime, I do want to say that I hope everybody had a fantastic Halloween, and hopefully you guys were safe if you guys do celebrate Halloween in any fashion. What did you do for Halloween?
Personally, what I did was that I was at home and I was playing, if you guys have ever played the game Repo, a new Halloween update just came out, and I was having fun with some friends and we were playing the game.
That's fun. Yeah, so for me, what I did was well, first off, I started my day by doing one of the most scary things I've ever done, and played EA WRC. That's a terrifying experience for anyone who has played any rally game for that matter. It's crazy what rally drivers can do. But also, my girlfriend made pumpkin dip a recipe that she found from one of her roommates while she was in college. And then we had that, we had pizza, watched a movie, and then waited for trick-or-treaters that didn't show up because we're in an apartment complex where apparently fun is kind of outlawed. So I'm kidding about the last part, but yeah, I mean, it's not common I think trick-or-treating is actually kind of banned in most apartment complexes, but nevertheless, we still had fun, and we'll see who's going to get the treat of winning this race here. Are we going to see Illyrian kind of trick Merakidon and get the treat of having a massive gap on the restart? As I talked about EAWRC earlier, Meraki does a little bit of gravel driving here, but what's your predictions here for the restart?
I'm not entirely sure, and actually, we're going to do one more lap, surprising. Oh, never mind. As I say that, maybe a little bit of a commentator's
That's
curse.
A treat right there.
Yeah, but safety car will be in this lap, so Illyrian will take control of the field. I'm very curious to see how good of a launch Illyrian's going to get, because he's going to want any sort of gap. As here they come out of the chicane. You can see how close they are. They're all ready to go. Illyrian with a little bit of slide. Trevor had an absolutely amazing launch. Everyone's almost side by side going down the straight. As now, look at Merakidon, and now he's catching up. He's going to go to the outside, side by side into turn one. And now it looked like there was a little bit of contact, but still, oh my word, I don't know how in the world any of those cars got through there.
Yeah, because Trevor was looking pretty punchy there in the restart too, trying to get his own trick-or-treat here in the form of a race win. Knocking on the door and saying like, hey, trick-or-treat, give me a position. And he tried it, but to no success here. Now he's kind of dropped away from the front runners, but with how hard these front two are going to duke it out, I genuinely think that Trevor has a good chance of coming back here, especially because Merakidon loves to lock up going into the hairpin.
Yeah, it's definitely part of his aggressive driving style that I've watched a lot of Merakidon driving, both here in NA and also Open Lobbies. As he's going to go side by side. Illyrian is forced out of the way, and Merakidon will take the lead here in the Japanese Grand Prix. Oh my word, talk about aggressive move, aggressive right there, as he just kind of almost semi-barged his way through. And he said, I don't care if Illyrian is blocking the road, I'm going to try and just take the lead. Is maybe another one, but no, Merakidon will retain it, and they will go down to the front stretch. And now it looks like Trevor's going to go for another move now, as he's side by side with Illyrian.
Yeah, Trevor is trying here. He's trying to be terrifying here, but look at Lopro also getting into the mix here. Lopro almost getting a move done onto Trevor coming into turn one, and they are just going to duke it out through the S's. And here in the S's, it's so hard to follow the car ahead just because of how dirty the air can be around here, especially through Sector 1. Sector 2 is a bit of an easier one, but really the best places to make overtakes is Sector 3 and then start-finish straight. So we'll see how these drivers navigate that. Merakidon, though, already starting to pull away as Rossi gets a time penalty. And Aston Martin is just having a great time here tonight. well, the singular Aston Martin isn't having a great time here tonight. Kirstenwick wasn't able to get in time. I did see him join and leave a bit earlier on in the race, but unfortunate for him because it is a lot of fun seeing Kirstenwick going ahead and do his magic. Probably one of the most impressive rookies we've seen here in NAEU. But nevertheless, we have less than 10 laps to, actually a little over 10 laps to go here in this race. Math was not mathing! And Wildcat and Splitsy doing some battle here, going into the Casio Triangle. It's going to be a tight battle, but Wildcat will hold on to that position. He won't have to fight it too hard because he knows that Splitsy does have a massive amount of penalties here. And the position will switch back, and Illyrian is trying to close the gap. These two have already broken away from the top two just about. Trevor will stay right on the cusp of DRS, but now he's pretty much right where the dirty air is at its absolute worst, and he just falls out of DRS range here.
Yeah, I mean, so close. I mean, we were wondering about it earlier, whether or not, I mean, we've seen previous races here be snooze fest, essentially, just because everyone wants to be safe. But I think the drivers heard us say that because they have just been absolutely aggressive. And I mean, I've seen a couple different races here. I think this might be the closest Japanese Grand Prix that I've ever witnessed here, just because of how close everyone is together. Because originally I was going to say earlier that it looked like Meraki Don was getting a little bit of space to kind of separate himself from Illyrian, but I think Illyrian has such a fast Sector 3 that Meraki Don will get a little bit faster in Sector 1, but then Illyrian will just go back and close the gap. So, I mean, this race has already been so interesting and so fun to watch.
Oh, 100%, yeah, and I mean, it's not exactly a secret that I think Suzuka is one of the worst tracks on the Formula 1 calendar. I mean, that is an opinion that is not super hard to find. I have said it probably a few times in various Rush Racing broadcasts. However, tonight I will say that this race has been really fun to watch, and drivers are doing so much battling here as one Ferrari is leading, the other one struggles, and Wildcat has a bit of a moment through the S's. It will not bring out a safety car, but he's gonna probably bring himself into the pits as he is missing both end plates, and I think that's gonna be music to Meraki Don that a safety car wasn't caught out, because I mean they already built up a 2.4 second gap to Trevor there, as the battle between Illyrian and Meraki Don, the two quickest drivers on the day, and these guys have just been duking it out, no holds barred, no quarter given between these two, and they're still fighting it out. And honestly, I don't think this fight is going to end until that checkered flag, as we are approaching 10 laps to go here.
Yeah, I completely agree that it's going to be a battle the entire way down, and I am very interested to see right now, looking at Illyrian, he saved up battery. He did not use it in Sector 3, so now with DRS open, he is going to drain the battery, and this might be the opportunity he's looking for. Meraki Don will take the outside line, and Illyrian will go right through. Meraki Don may be looking for the switchback, but he's not going to get it, and Illyrian will retake the lead.
Incredible racing action here. That is the stuff you love to see here at NA. If you guys haven't already dropped a follow here on this channel, then go ahead and do so. And also be sure to follow Rush Racing 09 for our OC divisions, because OC is back. We have just done our silly season, and now we are back to our regularly scheduled programming. It is going to be Sprint Weekend in Austin, Texas at the Circuit of the Americas all week long. So starting with Division 1, which I believe already has run at this point. And then you got, in a few hours, we got Div 4 and Div 2 going ahead and running sprint weekends at the Circuit of the Americas. So be sure to follow us if you would like to see more awesome racing action, just like you are seeing here in NAEU. And now we're seeing a battle between NA and EU, as Meraki Don is an American driver, and Illyrian, I want to say, at least for a while, he would run the Albanian flag. I'm not sure if he's actually from there, but I do believe he is one of the European drivers on the grid. So a beautiful battle between NA and EU here.
Yeah, and the battle's just going to continue as this time Meraki Don will do the exact same thing with DRS open and a full battery, and he's going to retake the lead. I mean, they're going to fight all the way down to the checkered flag. They might even fight after the checkered flag just because of how close these two drivers are. And it's just crazy that both of them, even though they're battling, they're still pulling time away from Trevor, as Trevor, Lowpro, and Zexify are all three still battling as well. I mean, I don't know if I've seen the only two drivers that I've seen like do something like this is TyTy and Meraki Don in some of the other races. But even then, I think this might be the closest like battle for the lead that we've seen all year.
Honestly, yeah, and I think, I think if Illyrian was here for more races, he would also be someone that we would talk about just being in that championship hunt. Because I mean, he joined up in Mexico, I want to say was his first race in NAEU this season, but ever since then he's been a very consistent and a very prevalent force here in this league. So he's been pretty much always knocking on the door of TyTy and Meraki Don, who are considered to be the best drivers in NA. So I think if Illyrian was here for a full season, then he would be right up there in the championship hunt. And we'll have to see if he can go ahead and put a move back onto the championship leader here with about 8 laps to go, including the lap we are currently on. And honestly, this is, like you said, this is really close, especially considering that going through the S's, you lose time following the car ahead because of all the dirty air you have to fight. But I mean, even with all of that, these guys are still pretty much like neck and neck in terms of pace.
Yeah, I mean, they're right next to each other in terms of pace. And despite the tire, I mean, that's the thing, is that even we originally, whenever they got the pit stop, they both switched onto the hard compound. So it was going to turn into just a sprint. And because we saw that Meraki Don was putting in fantastic lap times and Illyrian was just kind of holding on the mediums. But now, as they're both on the same tire, they've really, I mean, taken over this race, because now, as we're talking about it, they'll go to 6 seconds ahead of P3. As just now, maybe now, here comes another opportunity for Illyrian as they head back down to the front stretch, and they are just so close in terms of pace.
Indeed, some other drivers who have also been really close on the pace here tonight is the battle for P3 with Trevor, Lowpro, and Zexify. Those guys have been very, very quick in terms of just battling for the final step of the podium. I mean, just speaking about the fact, they haven't really been able to bring it into contention with Illyrian and Meraki, but that takes nothing away from the absolute battles they've been having here.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. I mean, the entire grid up and down. I mean, it's just kind of like the continuation of the sprint race, just in a longer form, because in the sprint race, we talked about how close everyone surprisingly was, aside from Illyrian in the lead. But now it's kind of just a continuation where Meraki Don and Illyrian, the two leaders, separate themselves from P3. But despite that, there's still 3 drivers fighting for P3 right behind them. So, I mean, it's just been all around, just all the drivers being as aggressive as possible, and a lot of the drivers on the same sort of pace. So, I mean, this is not really something that I'm certainly not used to seeing here in Japan, but it's definitely a welcome sight.
Indeed, yeah, you love seeing battles, and look how close Zexify gets to the back of the Williams and Lowpro. You could not get much closer than that. This is pure cinema here as we're closing in on the final 5 laps of the race here. And come to think of it, with final like 5 laps to go, or close to 5 laps to go here, GameHawk, we need to kind of start deciding about a driver of the day. Who's your pick gonna be? Because I mean, I'm actually probably, just in terms of, I mean, I know Marakidan's a bit quick, but I feel like we give it to Marakidan almost every single week. But I'm gonna have to give it to Zexify here, because I believe Zexify is new to NAEU, and he's done pretty well here in the spread format, I must say. He's been up 7 positions here in this race.
Yeah, and I'm with you that like Zexify, Low Pro, I mean all of that group right there, even Rossi in the Aston Martin, we talked about that he wasn't really having a great time. He's up 7 positions from the beginning. So yeah, I don't know. I really feel that driver of the day is kind of up in the air, because it's like Meraki Don obviously has done a great job in this race, so is Illyrian, but just kind of with all the different drivers, Zexify is going to take P4. So maybe that's Zexify saying, hey, GameHawk, maybe you should focus more on me. But yeah, I kind of think that I agree with you, maybe that Zexify maybe deserves it, because he's done a great job here.
Let's actually put a poll in chat that's going to go to the end of the race, as we are on the final 5 laps to go here. If I can actually do a poll, that is going to be a good question. I don't believe I can actually do a poll here, unfortunately, but we do have one person in chat saying it is Meraki. That is Flogging the Panda saying it should be Meraki. I would normally be on the train of Meraki, but I feel like we give it to Meraki almost every single week. And I mean, that just shows as a testament just how quick he's been here. But we'll see. I think I'm going to stick with Zexify just because he is a new driver, at least as far as I'm aware. So yeah, I think I will stick with Zexify as my driver of the day. He's already knocking on the door of Trevor here, and he might actually get this move done before the race end here.
Yeah, he was that was really close. And I mean, Zexify, he's been very, very aggressive the whole race basically, and I agree with you. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets the move done. I think if he's able to get the move done and he gets P3, I think he definitely would deserve getting driver of the day, because I mean, all 3 of these drivers right here in this group, Trevor, Zexify, and Low Pro, have done an absolutely fantastic job of battling through the entire race. And I mean, this has just been a fantastic race. I mean, this is definitely better than I was predicting going into this.
You and me both. I mean, this has been pure cinema to watch pretty much at every single point. It really hasn't, I mean, aside from the safety car periods, there really hasn't been like a slow portion of the race. I mean, you've had some kind of consistent battle, whether it's this 3-way battle for 3rd place at the moment, or the fight for the win between Meraki and Illyrian. So it'll be interesting to see who can get these positions and who can go ahead and win it out here. I mean, it's all fair game at this point for at least those specific positions. The battle for the lead is going to be down to the wire, because I think at this stage, both drivers are going to kind of start just harvesting their battery and just trying to build up their battery to give it a massive final push on lap 27. And then I think it's probably going to be the same for these 3 here. So I think it's going to be really, really interesting just to kind of see how this race ends, because honestly, I know we've said before, there's been a lot of cases where we can kind of say like, all right, I think this race is going to finish as it is right now. With this race here, I don't think it's going to be that way. I don't think we're going to know until the checkered flag comes out here, because everything is just so tight within the top 5.
Yeah, just everything has been so tight. I really do agree with you that I think it's going to go right down to the wire. So, I apologize for the slight reaction, because going through Sector 2, right before R31, or yeah, before R130, Illyrian had a moment, almost spun, coming out of the turn, very, very close, as I reacted, because he slid and his car almost went sideways, but he somehow spun or kept it on the track, but you could see it hurt. as now Meraki Dawn has gotten the 1 second lead over Illyrian. So now Illyrian is going to have to try and fight if he wants to keep that lead battle alive. But I mean, even then, you can see the battle, even though they're battling still, Illyrian is still almost 11, now approaching 12 seconds ahead of Trevor, as now Zexify is right on the back of Trevor. So, I mean, despite maybe being out of the lead contention, you can just see how dominant these two have been at the front of the pack.
Yeah, it's been really enjoyable to watch here, honestly, because, I mean, I really would love to see, like, next season for NA, a true title fight between these two, because I think it would be really fun to watch. But we are going to start the penultimate lap here very, very soon here, as they go through what you like to call R130, which is...
Yeah, apologies.
It sounds really close. It sounds really close to the Nissan GT1 that they tried to build in, like, the 90s, the R390. But as much as I love the R390 and think it's one of the most underrated cars in existence, we're going to go ahead and come to the penultimate lap of what has honestly been kind of a sleeper race, in the sense of, because when you hear about sleeper cars and sleeper picks in sports, they're kind of like the dark horses, essentially. Things you don't expect to be good! Zexify and Trevor have contact, and they're both out! They are both off the track. They're going to actually both still be in the race, but that is just drama here. On the penultimate lap, I thought they actually were both going to be out of the race, but they might as well be at this point. And that is just so unfortunate here. And I think, unfortunately, that does mean that we are going to have to give driver of the day to Meraki Dawn, just because of the comeback drives he's had here. I was so looking forward to giving it to Zexify, but unfortunately, just after that, I mean, you kind of have to give it to Meraki Dawn at this point.
Yeah, that was that was heartbreaking to watch, because I think just Zexify got aggressive, maybe a little bit too aggressive, and tapped the back of Trevor. But I mean, Trevor just kind of reacted maybe frustratingly and knocked Zexify off the road and into the wall. So I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if the stewards go to look, and maybe there's a little bit more drama as Zexify is just kind of sitting in front of Trevor. But yeah, and now he's gonna crash him. He purposely hits him off the road, and that is definitely going to be looked. And now he's gonna try again, and Zexify will crash into the wall and retire, as the leaders are gonna get ready, or they started their final lap, and just absolute drama.
Yeah, that's gonna be a slam dunk penalty, honestly, and that might even end up as a race ban, as Trevor's out too. So I think I had to look at the rule book, but I think that would constitute a race ban, I would say, for Zexify there. So yeah, I think it's unanimous between chat and us two that Meraki Dawn will be crowned driver of the day here today. He has made up various positions. He's got various positions in the sprint and in the feature race. He's moved up 9 positions to get the win, as he goes to 130R for the final time. He put the 2-second gap onto Illyrian, and he has fought his way from the back to the front here in the sprint race and in the feature race. He's going to make it through Casio Triangle for one last time, coming through the final corner of the racetrack. And Meraki Dawn wins the Japanese Grand Prix. Illyrian will come on right behind him. Lopro will take another podium for Williams there, after the 2 cars in front of him took each other out. It is going to be Lopro coming across the line to take another podium for Williams, with Splitsy coming home in P4. The other sole remaining McLaren of Barry is going to come home in P5. And then our highest placed rookie on the night, Autumn Ape, is going to come home in P6. A good drive there from the Moss. He has moved up. It's 5 positions from where he started. And then the last drivers will be John DT, WRT Rossi, and the Wildcat, rounding out our top 9 finishers. We've only had 9 finishers here in today's North American European race. And I mean, honestly, this was a fun one to watch. We've had pretty much everything you could have wanted here in the Japanese Grand Prix. which is pretty surprising, I must say.
Yeah, I wasn't entirely sure what to expect going into this race. It was certainly not on my bingo card and anything that has happened in this race. I mean, from the battles to the drama to the safety cars, I mean, this was definitely probably the most fun Japanese Grand Prix that I have witnessed in quite a bit of time for sure. And I'm just happy that we got to witness it.
Indeed, yeah, and it's going to be really interesting to see what our podium sitters will think. But our driver of the day and feature race winner of Marathon is going to take to that top step of the podium. And it was a very well-earned drive from him here today. And I mean, the celebration is going to be well-earned. The stewards are going to be pretty busy, especially with the last lap actions from the McLaren of Zexify and Trevor. I feel bad for the stewards because they're going to have their hands full here tonight. But these other drivers are going to have their hands full of trophies as they come through. And cleanest driver is actually Marakadon, and he gets his fastest lap. So aside from the sprint, he pretty much just gets every point humanly possible here. So we're going to go in and take a run through our standings here just to wrap things up really quickly. And it is Marakadon taking a race win, followed by Illyrian, Low Pro, Splitsy, Barry, Autumn, John DT, Rossi, and the Wildcat being our final finishers on the night. And then it is Trevor, Zexify, Ryan Anderson, Harold, and Joshua Bear, with Illyrian winning the sprint race here in the Japanese Grand Prix. If our top 3 drivers could come into the commentary booth, we're going to have a quick round of interviews with you, and then we'll go ahead and let you go and then just enjoy the rest of your night. But yeah, ultimately, that was a very exciting race. Honestly, I am pleasantly surprised that we actually had a good race here at Suzuka because, like we said, Suzuka isn't usually one of our favorite tracks, but honestly, I think it delivered here tonight, GameHawk.
Yeah, I'm right there with you that this has definitely been this was a very interesting race to watch. And I mean, I kind of wish that all of the Japanese Grand Prix races could be like this. I think a lot more people would like the track more if there were as many battles as there would be here, and that would be like a normal thing. But yeah, I'm just very, very happy that we got to witness and cast it, because that was definitely a fun race that I was not necessarily expecting.
Indeed, yeah. It was honestly really surprising. But anyways, we're going to go ahead and just cut straight to the interviews. We have our P2 driver and sprint winner of Illyrian. We're going to go ahead and talk with him first. So, Illyrian, how are you doing today, mate?
I'm good, broski. How are you guys?
I mean, after that fantastic sprint and feature, it was pretty good. So, ultimately, did you enjoy the track more when it was wet or when it was dry?
Put it like this. Anytime it rains, I feel like I'm the man to beat, in my opinion. Because I love the wets. But, yeah, obviously, as you saw in the dry, Meraki, he was completely a different species today out there, man. His straight line speed was insane. But I enjoyed it, honestly. I think the sprint race, obviously, that's probably my first win sprint race of the whole 25. So I'm excited at the moment. So I can't really complain where I finished today. So yeah. Obviously, unfortunately, yeah. I wish the main race, I wish it was raining. But other than that, I'll take P2.
Yeah, you were absolutely cooking there. Absolutely dominant in the sprint race, and you had some really good pace in the feature race. So ultimately, you did bring in some really good points for Haas. But taking a look to 2 weeks from now, when we head to the final kind of normal race weekend of the NA calendar, it is the Qatar track, the Losail International Circuit. How confident are you heading into Losail 2 weeks from now?
This, honestly, to be honest with you, it's my weakest track. It's one of my weakest tracks. I'm not really... The only reason it's one of my weakest is purely because of tyre wear issues. I just can't do a one-stop. So for me, it's going to be an automatic two-stop. So who knows? Unless there's an early safety car for me, then maybe. I don't want to jump to conclusion, but obviously I'm just going to say a top 5 at best. for the next 2 weeks.
All right, last question before we go ahead and let you go. Is there anyone you'd like to thank or shout out after tonight?
I'd say thank you to you guys. Thank you to everyone else that was on the VC, and to Meraki Don as well for always pushing me. Honestly, you guys, without you guys, I wouldn't be where I am today. So honestly, thank you.
And thank you for providing us with some excellent racing action. It was pure cinema watching you and Meraki
Appreciate
Don
it.
going ahead and duking it out lap after lap. But once again, congratulations on the podium, and we'll see you in Qatar.
Take care, man. Appreciate you guys.
All right, now we're going to head to our race winner here of Meraki Don. So, Meraki, I know you're not the biggest fan of the sprint weekend here at Rush Racing and at EU, but how did you find your performances here today? Because honestly, you had some pretty good pace in both the sprint and the feature.
I honestly feel like it's a little iffy. Like, it was raining. I'm really good in the rain. Like, I don't know what it is, but it's just like that, you know, like it's just a spark. And then like I had pace to catch because I was catching the leaders. I was catching Illyrian slowly but surely, but I was just stuck behind people. People weren't really driving as fast as I would normally drive, so I'm having to slow down. People are crashing in front of me. I'm getting collected. Like my front wing was basically almost gone, and I was just doing what I can, and then dried up. And then I was cooking my tires because I was in dirty air. I'm being really aggressive on the throttle because that's just the way that you're really kind of meant to drive in the rain. And then my tires were cooked, and so then I spun. I'm pretty sure GameHawk saw that. I think both of you guys saw that. But then I spun coming out the S's, and then my pace, I don't really know where it came from. Like I was running the complete wrong setup. It was not it. I was struggling basically the entire race. But I just kind of made it work. I adapted the best way I can. Illyrian was like on it. Like he was on it this entire, like the sprint race. He was on it. I can give that to him. Like I started in the back. I don't really know where he started, but I'm gonna give it to that because he was real strong. Like he's not slow. Like he's not at all. He's a really strong driver. You know, we push each other. Like we push each other hard, and that's kind of what the end of, or just the entirety of the feature race was. It's just like we're pushing each other because we both know if one person makes a mistake, the other person is gonna pick it up. So that's kind of just what it really is.
Indeed. 2 more questions before we go ahead and let you go. It is Qatar next round 2 weeks from now. It is the last kind of normal weekend essentially. So how are you feeling heading into Qatar? Is it a weak track for you, or is it a track that you think you can get on top of?
Honestly, Qatar is probably like one of my strongest tracks. Like if you're asking me this back on like 24, 23, by far my weakest track, but the weird handling patch that they did, it kind of just clicks to me now, and I kind of understand what I need to do. So honestly, if Ty's not here, I'm mopping the floor. So the Lyrian said he's gonna do a 2-stop. I can easily do a 1-stop here. I can do soft mediums to probably make it to the end. So unless somebody comes up, and then I'm gonna be happy because I won't be just walking away with it. I really hope Ty shows up. You guys understand? I need to get him back in here. But I really hope Illyrian, like, he's there to fight with me if Ty's not here. Because it's real fun with him.
Me and GameHawk were saying right towards the end of the race that I think honestly it'd be pure cinema to have you, Ty, and Illyrian in a full 3-way fight for the championship. And we did say that just considering how close you and Illyrian have been in these last couple of races, if he was here from the get-go, then I think the championship would be a bit of a different story. There wouldn't be about a near 50-point gap between first and second at this point, but yeah, I mean, you guys have brought in some really excellent cinema week in, week out. And any other final thoughts? Any other final thank yous before we let you go here, Meraki?
I'm gonna have to give a big thank out to you guys again, because you know you guys are like really good, and I like listening to you guys commentate whenever I'm driving, because like I use you guys as like a bird eyes to see what's going on, and like I really enjoy listening to you guys because it feels like this like they're enjoying doing what they're doing, especially GameHawk. Like I love listening to GameHawk commentate because he just sounds so excited when he's listening. He's like, he gives like these good reactions, and it's like, you know, you feel it, and it's like, oh, okay, something's going on. And then you amazing. Both of you guys top tier. I hope I see you guys here next year on F126, where we don't know what's really gonna happen. Like we could have an F122 all over again, you know. But honestly, Illyrian too. A big thanks to Illyrian, because like, if Illyrian wasn't in the lead, I would not have been like pushing as hard. I wasn't pushing hard, but I was pushing hard. Those soft tires, I don't know why, but I was just doing good. Like I was pushing pretty hard on those, and I was making them last. Like I was probably gonna do like 15 laps on those tires. But big shout out to Illyrian. And then who else? Who was the McLaren that almost finished P3? What's his name?
Zexify?
It was Zexify. Shout out to Zexify. But also, he screwed me over in the sprint. But he's just gonna get the shout out a little bit. He kind of killed somebody, so I don't know. It's a little iffy. But also shout out to Lopro. He deserves the P3.
He was actually
Third
candidate
podium.
driver of the day, and then he, on the final lap, he murdered a Mercedes purposely. So I think that's, he's gonna get some penalties on top of that. But anyways, once again, congratulations on the race win and also driver of the day. Actually, I think you took away, aside from the sprint, I think you took away the most amount of points you possibly could, because you had fastest lap, cleanest driver award, and also the race win in the feature. So you took home a massive amount of points today. And once again, congratulations, and we'll see you in Qatar on the 15th.
All right, I'll see you guys then.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to go to wrap things up here at Rush Racing League NAEU Season number 5. And it is round number 9 in Japan wrapped up. We're going to head to Qatar 2 weeks from now on November 15th. And any final thoughts from you here, GameHawk, before we sunset the stream?
Honestly, like we already mentioned before, that this was definitely a much better race than what I was anticipating, and I think this is kind of the thing that makes NA so good, that they can take a track like Japan that a lot of people don't really enjoy, or they think it's boring, and they just turn it into one of the most enjoyable races that we have seen all season, or for me at all, like total. So if you guys aren't following Rush Racing League NA, you guys need to just go ahead and follow on Twitch if you guys like this sort of thing, because the drivers here do an absolutely fantastic job of doing their absolute best and creating these absolutely fantastic races to commentate and watch. So I really hope to see you guys in Qatar next.
Indeed. Well, that's going to be it for us here at Rush Racing League NAEU. It has been a very, very fun round here in Japan, in Honda's backyard. We'll see how Qatar goes 2 weeks from now. But before we go, I want to give a thank you to our sponsors here: Sim Racing Center, SimLab, Pagni, and Advanced Simulation, and AI369. We love you guys so much. We wouldn't be here without you. But of course, we have to give a fantastic shout out to our very beloved Twitch chat. We love you guys very much. We wouldn't be here without you. And tune in 2 weeks from now when we head to the Losail International Circuit for our Middle Eastern tour. Have a good night.